When we see those 4 interlocking rings on a grille, we automatically assume we're looking at a healthy luxury automaker. The badge still carries the weight of premium engineering. This graph shows the reality underneath the chrome. In 2024, Audi's global deliveries took a 12% dive, dropping to 1.67 million vehicles in a single year. Sales volume is falling, but the profitability of the cars they sell is in even worse shape. Operating margins slid from 9% in 2023 to 5.1% by 2025. By the first quarter of 2026, those margins flatlined at just 4.2%. You won't read about this crisis in corporate press releases. There are no sudden factory closures or mass layoffs making the evening news. The sheer physical scale of automotive manufacturing masks the problem. Thousands of workers still show up to the assembly line every day, churning out inventory while the financial returns quietly evaporate. Brand prestige is a lagging indicator. A corporate giant can slowly bleed out in plain sight, and the wider world won't notice until the damage is already done. Think about your own commute. When was the last time you saw a brand new Audi drive past and actually stop to look at it? Drive through any major city today. Count the new BMWs. Count the new Mercedes. Then see how long it takes you to find a missing Audi. What you usually spot is a hand-me-down crossover from 3 years ago, blending into the background of a parking lot. Audi has slipped into a silent void. It exists somewhere between the legendary status it used to hold and the lack of enthusiasm it generates today. That missing desire is exactly what is driving those financial charts. The 1980s belonged to the Quattro. Audi's all-wheel drive system dominated the rally circuit, out-engineering rivals with unmatched traction and speed. That early engineering momentum earned them the market's complete attention, and they used it to launch a shift in automotive design. When the TT debuted in 1998, its aesthetic generated a level of desire that physically manifested as lines at local dealerships. By the time the R8 hit the track in 2006, an entire generation of enthusiasts had grown up falling in love with the brand. Through the early 2000s, Audi carved out a specific cultural niche. They became the choice for the progressive thinker, the buyer who wanted to feel like they had discovered the future. It was a distinct lane. BMW was reserved for aggressive drivers. Mercedes catered to established traditional wealth. Audi was the cool architectural alternative. That specific identity was their cultural currency, translating directly into massive global desire and profits. Today, that cultural capital has evaporated when compared directly to the success of their neighbors. BMW maintained its grip on the market, continuing to cater heavily to serious drivers. Mercedes remained unapologetic about its status, securing its position as the ultimate symbol of established wealth. In the US luxury market for the first half of 2025, BMW marks its 14th record year, moving 178,499 units. Mercedes holds strong at 142,000 units, protecting margins and high volume. Then we drop to Audi, languishing at under 82,000 units. Audi is being entirely lapped by competitors who ruthlessly maintained their brand identities. Today, the brand is running on fumes. They are coasting almost entirely on the ghost of momentum built decades ago by the Quattro, the TT, and the early R8. When you abandon your position as the progressive alternative, buyers walk away. That apathy is exactly why the operating margin is trapped at 4.2%. The financial data confirms what the street already knows. When a manufacturer loses its cultural soul, the financial collapse follows shortly after. A quiet, slow fade into irrelevance is far more dangerous to a massive brand than a sudden bankruptcy, because nobody feels the urgency to stop it. So the question remains, how exactly does a once legendary luxury brand lose its way so completely in plain sight? Audi's financial reports show a company in deep distress, but the visible losses in their showrooms only hint at a deeper collapse within their internal software division. To find this source of the bleeding, you have to look at Cariad, a unit created by management to handle the digital future of the entire Volkswagen Group. Between 2022 and 2024, Cariad recorded over $7.5 billion in operating losses, as their attempts to build a unified software architecture failed. This failure stalled the core of Audi's product development, leaving the company unable to translate its mechanical engineering into functional modern vehicles. In 2020, Volkswagen Group launched a plan to build one unified software architecture for Porsche, Volkswagen, and Audi. The reality was a disaster. By 2022, critical software bugs had effectively frozen the group's product pipelines. The Porsche Macan became the first major casualty, with its launch delayed for years because the software simply didn't work. Audi's flagship Artemis project suffered a similar fate, with its 2024 launch date pushed back to at least 2027. These delays left Audi showrooms empty of the visionary electric cars that were supposed to define the brand's future. While Audi remained trapped in this bureaucratic loop, BMW maintained a relentless product offensive, capturing market share with a steady stream of new models. Mercedes focused on protecting its margins, leaning into its high-end Maybach and G-Class variants to shore up its bottom line. BMW chose relentless production, and Mercedes chose margin protection. Audi was left with no clear product path as the market moved on. Volkswagen Group eventually reached a breaking point, admitting that their internal software development had reached a dead end. They turned to the American startup Rivian, paying nearly $6 billion for access to software they couldn't build themselves. This payment effectively bought Audi a way out of their software crisis, using architecture developed by a rival EV manufacturer. Allocating $13.5 billion toward combined Cariad losses and the Rivian buyout signals an operational tailspin rather than a breakthrough in innovation. For 2 decades, China served as Audi's most reliable source of profit and growth, the national status in the region, representing a dominant era for German engineering. By 2025, that dominance evaporated as Chinese consumers began to favor native brands over the traditional European prestige. Audi's total sales in China fell 5%, but their fully electric sales plummeted by 44%. Native Chinese brands now control 2/3 of their domestic market, leaving legacy manufacturers fighting for a shrinking sliver of sales. These domestic companies are winning through advanced software capabilities and localized manufacturing that Audi has struggled to match. Audi's historical prestige has proven insufficient against a new generation of digitally native rivals. In a final attempt to remain relevant in China, Audi partnered with the Chinese automaker SAIC. This deal required Audi to build cars using borrowed technology from their Chinese partner to compete in the local market. The resulting sub-brand was launched under a new identity, stylized in all capital letters as Audi. To mark this shift, they stripped away the iconic 4-ring logo, abandoning decades of brand heritage. The first model from this partnership, the E5 Sportback, arrived in August 2025 with significant marketing support. Buyers rejected the car almost immediately, citing the same sluggish software and driver assistance bugs that had plagued Audi's European models. Despite heavy discounts, the E5 Sportback sold just 605 units by January 2026. A car built on Chinese technology to compete with Chinese brands was still deemed inferior by the very buyers Audi was trying to win back. The failure in China signaled a collapse of Audi's global standing.
If you walk into the boardroom in Ingolstadt today, there is a single devastating question that current executives need to answer. What exactly is Audi for? The competition knows exactly who they are. BMW is the ultimate driving machine. Performance and handling are baked directly into its corporate DNA. Mercedes-Benz holds an equally firm grip on its market position. It sits at the absolute pinnacle of automotive comfort, craftsmanship, and status. Audi used to own a very specific intersection of the market. They offered precision technology wrapped in accessible style. But today, when a legacy automaker loses its definitive pillar in a highly polarized market, customers don't get angry. They don't write complaint letters. They simply take their money elsewhere. Over the last few product cycles, the design language has become timid, and the performance sub-brands have been steadily watered down. The R8 is dead. That was the first major blow to their performance credibility.
Then they quietly discontinued the TT, eliminating their accessible, design-forward identity entirely. The data proves this silent drift is already well underway. Consumers are just quietly buying a different car next time. Heading deep into 2026, The financial reality is a slow, grinding erosion. First quarter revenue fell by 8% to $14.2 billion. In the North American market, the drop was even more severe. Deliveries plummeted by 27%, brutally hit by tariffs and the loss of EV subsidies. While tariffs provide the immediate shock, the underlying lack of brand identity removes the insulation. Without a core emotional reason to choose an Audi, these market pressures transform from headwinds into a terminal freefall. Falling revenue tells only half the story. To see why the situation is truly critical, we have to look at how rapidly Audi is burning through its cash reserves. Audi is burning cash on multiple fronts. They are financing heavy internal restructuring and scrambling to develop completely new vehicle platforms. At the exact same time, they are spending emergency capital to bail out their Chinese partnership with SAIC. And they are funding a brutally expensive new entry into Formula One. The money is pouring out far faster than their current timid product lineup can bring it back in. Audi is pouring billions out the door to buy time, but without products that excite buyers, they have no reliable engine to refill the treasury. The four rings have survived oil crises, financial crashes, and 6 decades of shifting global markets, but they have never faced this specific toxic combination. The first pressure point is a reality of falling margins across their lineup. Second, they are operating under a paralyzed parent company, severely limiting their ability to pivot. Third, they are navigating a hostile Chinese market defined by cutthroat local competition and aggressive pricing. And the final, fatal ingredient that ultimately seals the trap is their complete and total loss of internal brand identity. Standard market pressures are survivable, but when combined with an internal vacuum of purpose, the math becomes terminal. Audi is calling the end of 2026 the continuation of the largest product initiative in its history. First, the A2 e-tron must flawlessly capture the highly competitive entry-level electric market. Then, the Q9 is positioned as a new flagship SUV, intended to command high margins and restore their premium status. Finally, their Formula One debut serves as a highly visible, desperate signal to the market that they still care about performance. These are massive gambles, all meant to crystallize a new brand identity before the money runs out. The window for success here is terrifyingly narrow. The platforms must execute without a single misstep, and the premium pricing must hold.
If Audi executes this wave of products with the same delays, bugs, and compromises that defined the Cariad era, the market will not forgive them. The conversation in 2 years won't be about a brand fighting for its place. It will be about a brand that has already lost it. Whether the next chapter is a historic comeback or a corporate obituary depends entirely on what happens before the end of this year. The grace period has expired. 2026 is their one and only shot to buy their place back. What do you think? Is Audi's identity permanently dead, or are the Q9 and F1 enough to save them? Let me know in the comments. If this video gave you a clearer picture of what is really happening inside one of the world's most iconic car brands, subscribe and share it with someone who still thinks Audi is fine. The next video in this series is going to show you exactly which legacy brand is most at risk of the same fate, and the answer will shock you. For the full, uncensored data breakdown on the legacy auto collapse, hit the link in the description to download the exclusive Automotive Market Risk Report.